Well, welcome everybody to Breaching the Boardroom. I am your host, David Mauro, and in the studio today, we are excited about our guest, Matt Aston, president and head of GPRS, that does underground radar and detection for, well, I can actually read you exactly what they do, and then I will introduce Matt. GPRS is the nation's largest company specializing in utility locating, CCTV, pipe inspection, concrete scanning, and laser scanning services with a focus on 100% subsurface damage prevention. CPRS offers ground penetrating radar and leak detection. Matt, welcome to the studio.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me today. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. So, what is it in English that you guys do? Because when you and I met earlier, it was really cool and it was fascinating. But when I just read that, it was like it's hard for people to get their heads wrapped around it. So walk us through it, and then I want to find out, like, there's no way when you were a kid you're like, this is what I'm
Yeah,
gonna do. Like, I want to find out about that arc.
that's fair. So generally speaking, I would say we service the construction, infrastructure, engineering industries. So as you see work trucks on the road, as you see cranes building new structures, it's likely that we are either on site or we have been on site, and it's often before anything is done. It's over the course of the build, and during renovation. So we really you're in the full life cycle of the building, helping with pre-planning, and then even involved in a good chunk of our business. It just revolves around the ongoing maintenance and repair within existing facilities and campuses. But in general, to put our business very simply, it's visualizing the built world. So uh, helping with what is not seen and making it visible, for our customer base. So if you think about an excavation. Let's say they're going to put a new water line, in on the street that you live on. Well, it's not just water. There's electrical, and there's gas, and there's communications, and all sorts of these other utilities. And if you're just looking at the surface, you're not going to know where any of this runs. You might have an idea. Well, the main lines are going to run parallel with the road, but they've got to service every single building. And so what
Right.
we do whenever ground is going to be broken, you know, we'll use all the equipment that you just named to help identify whatever hazards exist that can't be seen from the surface, and we'll mark them onto the surface. We'll provide a map, and one of the things that we're doing now is actually building permanent records for private facilities like hospitals and universities and manufacturing centers and entertainment venues. So they have, like, I would make the analogy to Google Maps. So instead of Google Maps for driving from point A to point B, now these facilities have the option to have a map of what their underground infrastructure is. So you think about a lot of these campuses are decades, in some cases, 100, 200 years old, and the change that has taken place over time. A lot of these records are
Yeah, a lot of
old,
the prior records aren't very detailed, and they didn't have the technology back then.
and they're not updated, they're not consolidated. And so what we do is we take our findings and we create this digital twin of what exists underground, and update it for these facilities on an ongoing basis, so they have consolidated, accurate records, and we can integrate it with features below the ground with features above, combining technologies like ground penetrating radar and 3D laser scanning to give a full model of their entire campus above and below.
Yeah. So when I think about it, like as a homeowner, let's say, before we go and dig, we usually call like a local government entity to find out, like, hey, I want to put some trees out there. We have to make sure there's not electrical lines or power lines or something like that. So you call them, they'll come out and mark where you can put the trees, where you can't.
Right.
That's a very simplistic example, but that's kind of, in my mind, what you're doing for mass scale construction. But
The
you're providing
principle,
more than just spray painting the grass. Obviously, you're giving them a full visual of what's underneath.
that's correct. The principle is very much the same. My company, GPRS, we don't do a lot of residential work.
No, of course not.
The vast majority of our work, we do some, um, but the vast majority of our work is commercial, industrial, and infrastructure.
Well,
But
and a
the
lot of
principle,
that, they wouldn't be able to call a local government
right?
agency anyway, right? Because a lot of that is private land. And
Yes, you're
so,
exactly right. That is the key difference. And the miss utility or the 811 services that you're actually required to call if you're going to be breaking ground, there's limitations as to what they're able to do or where they're able to go. Yeah, we don't really have any of those limitations. We're working, not as a government entity or service. Our services are not required. This is, it's a, the customer is making a choice to use our service, and given that, we will go anywhere they ask us to. We'll help in every way we possibly can.
so it's really visibility for what otherwise is undetectable by,
Correct.
by standard means.
Correct. Yeah. It's and you think about the cost. We're a little over $2,000 a day. For one of our project managers on site. But if you think about the risk and the
Yeah.
cost associated,
Well,
with
it's very analogous to what we do in cybersecurity, because like we provide visibility to what you otherwise can't see, like regular IT or regular monitoring can't see that. That's why we come in and we do it. And the cost is it's something, but it's so much lower than the risk of not doing it.
it's a
So
phenomenal comparison
yeah,
because yeah, where someone would use you for cybersecurity, the first event that you prevent,
right, just
it
paid for
has
itself.
it paid for everything.
Right.
And the same thing is true of our services, where the first utility that we find is going to more than pay, for is the first damage that we prevent from happening is going to more than pay for our services. And then everything after that is it just compounds on that ROI.
So not to derail this, but do you guys ever get involved with like the cabling companies and stuff like that? Because they're always breaking lines and digging things, and like everybody's internet goes out because somebody hit a line. And I'm like, did they not know like about your company? Like, did they not care? Or like,
So
wouldn't that be helpful?
you're touching on the challenge that we've had to overcome. So and we have overcome it, but there's still I still think that we're in the bottom half of this awareness curve.
Hmm.
The company started in 2001, and if I go back 23, 24 years, um, the biggest challenge back then was, yeah, I would show up and talk to people about this service, and they would look at me like I had a third eyeball coming out
Oh
of
yeah.
my forehead. Like
People look at me
ground
that way. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
ground penetrating radar. What are you doing here? Like
Right.
we're not looking for buried treasure here.
Right.
Beat feet, kid. And I really had to give a lot of demonstrations and demonstrate really where I was demonstrating value. Look, this is not just some thing I thought up and trying to get going. This is valid here, and it took a while. to create that awareness. And
How,
I was
yeah, in the last 24 years, Matt, how's the technology that you guys have deployed changed? I mean, you were talking about like ground penetrating radar back in 2001. That was
yes.
new. That was cutting edge and new. It's still new. It's still something a lot of people might not be aware of. But like I would imagine that the technology has gotten, or maybe the deliverable to a client, a customer of yours has gotten different,
That's
meaning
that,
you can do more 3D, maybe you can do, like things like that.
that's what it is. The data collection has improved.
It
The
makes
science
sense.
behind how the radar works, that hasn't changed since the 60s or early
Right.
70s when it was developed. What has changed is the way that it's presented now in a digital format on a screen as opposed to on thermal paper, 50 years ago. Um, and then a job that would have required two people, when I first started, now it's consolidated where it almost looks like we're pushing a small lawnmower or a baby stroller around a site. And it's all, most jobs can be done with just one person. Uh, what we have done, our company, we have pushed on the deliverable side. Like, hey, what can we do to really innovate? What are our customers going to want from us in 10 years? And what if we can deliver that to them now? That's how we came up with this idea of sitemap. That's our data delivery system, where we're creating this permanent record of all of our findings, everything underground, and this underground infrastructure map for private facilities across the country. That's I would say that is, there are other differentiators, but that is the key differentiator, for GPRS today, and our integration of the multiple technologies that we're using.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Who do you guys generally get engaged to in the beginning? Would it be the architect or would it be the general contractor? I'm just curious.
All of the above, yeah,
Okay.
engineers, architects, certainly, yeah, construction managers, general contractors,
Of course.
uh, owners. So I mean, they ultimately are the ones who stand to lose the most. If you're, think about a university campus. If there's one building being renovated and there's utilities that feed that building, well, if something were to get damaged, it's not going to be just that building. It could affect other buildings on campus. So we're seeing an increasing trend where a lot of these major institutions are requiring our services on site, before any ground is broken inside of a building, whether they're cutting concrete or drilling holes through concrete, or whether they're, excavating outside, anywhere on their site. If they're going to be, breaking ground, we're seeing an increasing trend where our services are required directly by the owner, which that's that's great for us. It's great for awareness, because as maybe there are a contractor or two who in that area that are not, they're not familiar with our services yet, and when they're required by the owner to use it, it's an easy introduction and easy for us to demonstrate value, for the
That's
services as
fantastic.
well.
Um, yeah, I can see how older locations like colleges, institutions that have been around for 150, 200 years, like what is underground is probably so different than greenfield and like a
Oh,
corporate park, right? Like, which still could have underground stuff from the farm before it or whatever, right? But
100%.
like what are you see, like what are some of the, like are there any like really strange things you guys have found or
Oh,
any?
yeah. How much time? How long is this
I wanted to ask because I'm
podcast?
curious because I was like, I can only imagine something that's like 200 years old, what you found underground. They're like, there's a bus
Oh,
buried there or there's something, you know what I mean?
yeah. So yes, cars.
Cars, really. I was just making that
Cars.
up. That's interesting.
Uh, we have found buried cars, buried drums.
Wow.
We've looked. I know we've been hired at least 3 or 4 times to look for Jimmy Hoffa.
That's
uh,
hilarious because he's like in the cement somewhere over here. You gotta scan
and
it.
then
Any
we
luck
actually
with that? No.
not with Jimmy yet.
Okay.
But we have found in our company's history, we have found 4 murder victims, and
Really?
not by accident. We were hired,
Okay.
by the local police department.
I was just gonna say
Where
you could have an entire like investigative unit of your company. You
yes,
may have that, but
we,
I'm
we, we
like,
we don't we don't,
you could see
but
how you could just go around to all the different police departments and detective units and be like, what were your cold cases? Where are you searching? Like, we can help. Like, that's
we've been asked a few times to look for weapons that they believe may have been buried in an area, or in one case, actually in a concrete wall. They thought that we'd be able to see potentially the barrel of the rifle.
sure.
They thought someone buried it or embedded it in a concrete wall. But in the cases we found, the actual murder victims, we didn't say, "Hey, look, there's a body right
Right.
here." We said, "Look, the police had reason to believe that someone may be buried in the area." So we do a scan over the entire area, and we say, "Look, we're not telling you that there's a body here, but if you believe there could be a body here, and you want to dig in a few spots, this would be a great place to start."
Yeah.
And when we've done that, they 4 times it's come up where
Wow.
that's been the exact location. And
Well,
they were
that wasn't,
all
I bet you didn't see that coming when you created this company. You're like,
no, no, not at all.
yeah.
But one of those things that we're glad to help on. We went to Aruba back in 2006. We volunteered. We were contacted by an organization called Child Watch out of Orlando. I don't know if you remember
Oh, yeah.
when the young girl
Natalie
was.
Holloway? Was
Yes,
that
yeah,
her? Yeah.
that's her name. Yeah, when she went missing in Aruba, our company, we sent one of our project managers down there for about a week, and he worked with the authorities on the island to you know
Wow.
look for her, to obviously to no avail.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if there's opportunities to help in something like that, we'll do it. But the vast majority of our work is infrastructure, damage
Sure.
prevention, visualizing the built world for sure.
Right. Oh, that's phenomenal. So when you were a kid, you were like, I bought a metal detector and this is going to change my life. You're like walking around the beach, going around, and you're like, Dad, this is it, man. I got a vision. So walk us through how this came to be, because this is
Well,
not
so
something like this is
when
cool.
I,
I got to tell
when I
you,
was
this
a
is pretty cool. Especially like if I worked there, I would head up the like investigative unit and go and like to call every police department and be like, we will close 100 cold cases this year.
yeah,
Like line us up and we'll go. That'd be pretty cool. But anyway, um, like how did this happen, Matt? Like how did
uh,
this,
when I was a kid, I was going to be the center fielder for the Red Sox. So
of
that's
course.
what was going to
Yes.
happen.
And you
And
still
then
may, you never know.
not at 48 years old. So uh, no, my dad, when I was 3 years old, my dad started a concrete cutting company. And when I was in high school and college, I would help on those jobs, and it just seemed inevitable that if they were
You
cutting
would work in
concrete,
the industry somehow.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, it didn't seem inevitable that I would work in the. Actually, I wanted nothing to do with working in the industry. Uh, but whenever they were cutting, I would go help. When I say help, after the slab was cut, they would cut the concrete into reasonably sized pieces, and then we'd have to pick them up and carry it to remove the concrete after it had been
Right.
cut. Or if they're drilling, I would be the guy catching the cores underneath the slab. But it was all too common, when they were cutting, for them to cut through electrical services, and it would be this big surprise, and the site would shut down, and everybody would be panicked about how to fix it, and then you got to pull the electricians over to do this emergency repair. And
Budget
I went to
costs. Yeah, budget costs for the project go up. It's just a mess.
Yes,
Delays, everything.
It's all surprise. So you skip forward a few years. I'm out of college. I thought I wanted to work for a big company and work my way up into senior level management, and that's where I started. I was working for Dana Commercial Credit, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Dana Corporation. It's a tier one automotive supplier, and I was a financial analyst. And I realized fairly quickly that I did not want to work for a big company. So I talked to my dad about going into business with him. And he said, Matt, I really think you should do something on your own. And he saw something, he saw something in me that I hadn't yet seen in myself. And I was only 24. So he gave me this magazine. And in the magazine, there was an advertisement for a company in New Hampshire, Geophysical Survey Systems, and they were building this ground penetrating radar. One of the bullet points applications they identified was use this to find electrical services in or below a concrete slab prior to saw cutting. And the light bulb just went off in my head. Oh my gosh, I know there's a need for this, because I helped on these jobs all through high school and college, and I saw this happen, firsthand, countless times. And I thought I could probably build a business around that singular application. And so the business has grown, well beyond that. It's still something we provide on a daily basis in dozens of cities across the country. But there's a lot more to that, a lot more to our company now than just finding electrical services prior to concrete.
Yeah, but it was that detection ability that really sparked you when you were younger. So how did you go from that epiphany that like, this is it, like this is something I recognize a void, these guys are doing some of it and I could expand on that, to finding the technology or getting somebody that knows how to develop the technology?
So we buy the technology from that company in New Hampshire. That was our first supplier, and we've integrated a few other suppliers in over time. But I didn't know what I was doing. I went to the training at their facility in New Hampshire, and then I came back here and I practiced. I would work with my dad's team, and I would find out what jobs they were going to, and I would show up a few hours before, and they'd try to find. Basically, taught myself with the limited knowledge I had from the training. It was like a 2 or 3 day training at the manufacturer's office. So, but to put that into practice, before I was willing to actually go charge a fee,
right, and start reaching out to potential customers. Right before you did that, you worked it so that you can explain it better.
Yeah, one of those practice jobs turned into a great customer. I was doing a job in Ypsilanti, Michigan, just outside of Ann Arbor, at a hospital, St. Joe's Mercy Medical Center in Ypsilanti, and they had a small trench they were cutting in the hospital, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go up here and see if I can figure out how to do this. And I marked a few things that looked like they were going to be in the path of the concrete cutting. And I got a call the next day from one of the engineers on staff at St. Joe's. He said, "Hey, what were you doing up here yesterday?" And
so that it's clear for the listeners, you just went up there on your own.
Yeah, I didn't ask. Uh,
That's a 24-year-old entrepreneur right there. Like that is like, I got nothing to lose. I'm going to help you out whether you're asking me to do it or not.
well, I had to learn how to do this.
Right. It's brilliant.
I had on-site training, but I didn't have experience in the field. And so I
Right.
had to develop some level of expertise before I could charge for these services. So I went to the site. I got the schedule from my dad's company where they were going to be cutting. So I went out and I marked a few things in this small trench. And this guy called me from the hospital and he said, "What were you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm starting this business and working with Ohio Concrete Sawing and Drilling, my dad's company, and uh, they said they were going to be cutting at your campus. So I went to see if I could find any electrical that might." And he said, "Well, whatever you did, it worked, and we need to see this technology because uh, you saved them from cutting through a 480 volt, 3-phase conduit that it would have shut down a few rooms in that hospital we can't afford to lose." And I said, "Well, great, I'll come up." And I gave them a demonstration on how it worked, and it was like their prayers were being answered. I mean, this had been an ongoing problem for them, and it was kind of there that I began to see.
You
Okay,
knew it had something. You knew you were behind that idea had legs. It had traction.
I saw the people who were most affected. I saw their reaction when they saw a solution that they had not yet seen before. And so I did that job for free. But over the next 5 years that I was in the field, uh, I bet I did close to 500 jobs at that hospital, to the point where if they were drilling one 4-inch hole, they would mandate that my services be
That's
used
fantastic.
in advance of
That's fantastic.
yeah.
And then from there, financial background, technical background, how did you go out and decide, like, how did you approach reaching out to new organizations? Was it connections or referrals, or did you start picking up the phone? Just
So
curious.
we have one of the first sayings in our company is the best sales call is a job well done.
Absolutely.
So
Couldn't agree
just
more.
going to that, if you just knock the cover off the ball and you beat every expectation that you've set, that customer, the next time they are going to cut concrete, the next time they're going to excavate, they're going to call you back. So, "Oh man, I remember last time I had to do this, I used this guy." I would tell people when I was building the business, I didn't even give them my name. I would just say, "Just put me in your phone as Radar Matt." And that way
Nice.
I knew they would remember what I did
Right.
more than they remembered, who I was. So I
Right.
said, just put me in your phone as Radar Matt. And
Radar Matt. See, that is not in sales trainings out there, and that needs to be, because that's
yeah,
really good. Like identifying what you're doing for them, and
yeah.
it's very humble, and it's a great way. That's phenomenal.
So it was, I didn't do anything special. What I did was just consistent. If I didn't have a job uh, on any given day, I went out and I sold. And I didn't have preset appointments. I went and knocked on doors. I parked a block away from the job site, and I threw on a hard hat and a safety vest like I knew where I was going. And I walked around that site until I ran into the superintendent or until I found the project manager and was able to, and I would sit and wait a half hour for their meeting to end before I could get 2 minutes in front of them. And I wouldn't push and say, "Hey, I need you to call me.
Right.
I can be out here tomorrow." I would say, "Next time you have an opportunity, just give me a call. Let me show you how this works." And yeah, to really increase that awareness. That's what it was. That at the beginning there was zero awareness. There's still an awareness gap today, but at the beginning nobody understood what this was or how it applied to benefit them on the work that they were doing.
That's phenomenal. That's a great story. How many employees sit on your team now?
We're close to 850 people today.
850 employees
Yeah, we've got
in
people
only
in,
20 years, 24 years. That's pretty
yeah,
phenomenal.
we've got a phenomenal team. I did everything out of the gate that they would tell you not to do in books. I hired my friends, but I could
Books are
trust
just
them.
ideas anyway. Like they're just like half of them are theoretical and they're like, this could happen. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work that way.
I
So,
hired my friends. I hired people I could trust because I knew I couldn't watch over their shoulder. The first person I hired,
right,
he went to Cleveland, and I was in Toledo, Ohio.
right.
So it's 2 hours away, and I didn't I saw him once every 5 or 6 weeks probably at the beginning, and he was doing he was basically replicating what I did in Toledo and Ann Arbor and Detroit, and he was doing it in Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and uh, so then we did the same thing. I said, hey, if we can make this work in Toledo and Cleveland, we can probably make this work in other cities around the country. So
Right.
instead
Once you
of
build the model and the approach, then you just you replicate that over and over.
right, instead of trying to build depth and build this team, we cast our net wide, and we were probably in 10 or 11 cities across the U.S. before we had a second person in any market. We were just
Wow.
it was an idea of where are we going next. Okay, so we went to DC, let's go to Charlotte. Oh, we're in Charlotte, let's go to Atlanta. We're in Atlanta, let's go to Orlando, and just kind of filled in the gaps. Now we have people in between 55 and 60 cities. When I say we have people there, they're permanently based there. That's their home. And our largest market in the country is Southern California, and then
Oh, really?
our market sizing is very closely correlated to population. So if you think about where infrastructure dollars are going to be spent, the majority of them are going to be spent in the biggest population centers. So that was our idea, is
Makes perfect sense.
let's get people into the biggest cities in the country. And so actually we're still based in Toledo, Ohio, and that's one of the smallest markets that we serve. Only
Wow.
500,000 or 600,000 people in the metro area, but it's where we started. And so
That's phenomenal.
we serve Boston to Honolulu and Seattle to Miami and every big city in between.
So sitemap is the deliverable. That's the program that you guys did you develop that, or is that a program that you guys use to deliver?
No, we developed the software, so it's wholly owned by GPRS. And
Oh, that's great. Now, who did that? Did you hire somebody or a company to do
we
that, or
have
did
we have
you
we have
went?
we have our own internal development team, and then we supplement our internal development team with an outside contractor as well. And that's one of the things that I'd say we've learned about developing software is becoming more of a data company than just a damage prevention company. It's going to take a little longer than you think. It's going to be a little more expensive than you think, but and the development is also it's ongoing. There's not. I mean, you complete a phase, and then it's, oh, what can we do next?
Yeah, you
So
work it up to get that MVP, that minimum viable product, and then from there, there's version 1.1, 1.2, all the way up to 36.5, and you just keep developing and
you
iterating, right?
you've got it. And so we launched that minimum viable product in February of 2024. So we're just
Oh, it's
over a
newer.
year.
That part's
Yeah,
newer.
yeah,
Cool.
we're just over a year in now. We've got
do you sell the product itself to other contractors, or how does it work?
To other contractors, yes. So to the companies that we're working for, yes, they can buy a subscription and they can see, the first, we'll give them the job that we do. We will
Right,
deliver that to, and they can see the work that we did on any single job in Sitemap. They can see that for free. But if they
right.
want to see their data kind of collectively, they have to subscribe to the service, and then they can see their
That provides
facility or
trends, it provides ongoing data whenever there's new changes in the environment, etc.
yeah, and all of our services. So they can see what they've had done with laser scanning. They can see the video that we run through, pipes to do the internal condition assessments within piping. If they're a campus and they've had ongoing leak detection surveys, they can see how the leaks
Have
have changed over
evolved.
time. Right, right.
Oh, that's cool. And what's interesting, what you just said is you've evolved into a data company now.
Correct.
So explain to us what you mean by that. I think I know exactly what you mean by that, but that's really an evolution, right? It's not only what you do, but it's how all of what you do is recorded, and then that data is used for their planning, their future planning. The software is built, subscriptions are done. It's like the next evolution.
So I think when I think of businesses, I think, they exist for one of two reasons. Uh, they exist to solve a problem or to make something better. And I think, we're a little unique with Sitemap, this data delivery mechanism, in that, we're doing both. There's a problem these facilities have where, and then I think about, okay, the core services of GPRS. We're on hundreds of sites per day across the country, and oftentimes at the same sites on a weekly basis. Sometimes, we've had situations where we've actually had people embedded within facilities for months or years at a time. And why? Because the data that we're providing is extremely valuable. So if they can use this once, they can use this on an ongoing basis. And what a
Sure.
phenomenal tool for planning, within their facility. So, and instead of just, using us, when they need, before they cut, dig, or drill, what if we were to provide this so they could use this as a tool, for planning their facility, for solving some of these asset management problems. And we're in the, I mentioned, you said it, we just launched this last year. So we're in those early phases of development right now. And this is only going to get better. But we see this as a facility data asset management, tool, to help solve some of these problems that have been, since since the beginning of
Of
facilities being
construction
constructed.
since the
Right.
Greek age. Like
Yeah.
this is phenomenal. So what's interesting to me is that you guys didn't just come up with an idea and then build a software and try and sell a software. Hey, when you have these projects, you can capture all of your data and then do planning. You actually still deliver the actual service. And that's really how you started, obviously. And
Yeah.
now the software is allowing them to leverage all of that intel that they've gotten from doing that service ongoing, so that when they do, and then it builds on itself, right?
That's
because
exactly
because they're in your ecosystem. Very Steve Jobs of you, by the way. That was really smart. What
that was the
And that's a compliment. What did you when did you know, hey, we need to develop a platform here? I got, does anybody know how to code? Like, who's got C++ or who's got Java experience? Like, how did you go from that? You got like guys with construction hats, like, I have an iPad, I don't know how to code. Like, how did you come up with that idea that we needed that? There had to be, was it something with a client that you saw and you're like, I want to be able to deliver this over and over to them? Or how did that evolution start or
No,
spark in your mind?
we um, we were talking with an investment banker in 2019,
Hmm.
and they asked the question, "What do you do with your data?" I'm like, huh?
Yeah, you're like,
And,
you mean all the jobs we've done? What do you mean our data? Right.
and I'm like, well, we mark on the ground, and they know where to avoid when they're digging or drilling, and if they want us to put a report together, we can put a report together. And he said, no. There's got to be a way to monetize the data. And so shortly after that conversation, it was one of those things. You probably had these where you can't fall asleep at night, and you're
Oh, yeah.
staring at the ceiling, thinking, I was challenged by that question. What could you do to monetize your data? And so shortly after that, we had a senior leadership meeting. We were in Charleston, South Carolina, and we're there for a couple of days and kind of locked ourselves in this room. And that was the singular focus of that meeting: is, hey, what could we do to monetize our data? What are our customers going to expect from us in 10 years? And what if we can deliver that to them early? And we used the analogy of Amazon. Nobody expected to be able to go buy whatever you want and have it show up on your doorstep the next day. And now it's the same day in some cases. Um, and they changed the way we buy things. And, okay,
Hmm.
so what could we do to change the way customers buy our service? Well, what could increase our stickiness factor, with our customers? And this is kind of
Makes
what we
perfect
landed
sense
on.
because in a business model, you go from doing excellent work one time, right? To go, how do we make this consistent so that we can make a living off of it and the clients can get good value consistently. And then after you've done that for a long time, you had done it for 2 decades. Like
Right.
you had amounted and gathered up so much intel that you're like, how can we package this not only for monetization, but how can clients benefit from this? And they can
Right.
use that in their planning and in their future
It's got to
projects.
be anything that we do. It's got to be a win-win, right? It's got
Right.
to be a win for us, and it's got to be a win for our customer. And this this met that. This absolutely checked that box. There
Yeah.
was some concern. Okay, so if they have the data, would that cannibalize our service?
Hmm.
And we landed on no, it's not going to cannibalize. Nobody's going to dig off of a map. They want the data, but for them, they're going to want to see marks on the ground. How do they know the last time we were out there? How do the things haven't changed since? So they're not going to quit using us just because they have this data. The data is going to be great for planning, but it's not going to stop them from hiring us. And that's definitely held up. In fact, I would say it has led to you know actually it's accelerated some revenue growth, because instead of just having us check the area where they're going to be working, now they'll have us do their entire campus, so they
Yeah.
can have their entire campus within our platform.
And
There's
they can go
limited
onto their
value.
portal and see everything.
That's it. If they go onto their portal and they only see this small section of it where 10% of their infrastructure is,
Right.
what's the point? So now they're having us check their entire campus, and um, so it's led to some larger jobs for us. And
Well, and
there's
the end is the initial deliverable still blows them away. So, like the
yes,
initial
they have not.
deliverable is that's what builds credibility for the software platform.
Yeah, they haven't seen it before. I mean, they have there's digitization of records, but oftentimes that digitization is based on the existing data that's available, that's not consolidated and it's not
Right.
accurate. And um, so That's what we're doing. It's real time, and their their facility is as up to date as the last time we were out there. So it gives them that incentive. As things change on their campus, they call us back. Hey, we're putting in a new building. We're moving these utilities. Can you come out here and document so we have everything
Right.
that's
And they
up
can
to
use
date?
their portal and that prior data to make the decisions while they're planning that next step and then reach out to you. It's really brilliant.
And you understand it perfectly.
Well, I'm a data guy. So like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'll talk to you offline because now I'm worried about your data. So I'm like, do we have incident response plans? Do we have monitoring
yeah,
on this thing? Like, we got to
yeah,
protect your data. We
yeah.
can talk about that later. But so that's phenomenal. So what do you guys have? What's next? And one of the things that I wanted to ask is like, where do people find you guys? Obviously, we'll have your website linked here, your information, but like, would people that are in the construction industry or in the contracting industry, do they see you guys at trade shows? How do they
Yeah.
bump up against you? Like how will people find you?
Yeah, we have a full marketing team. We've got a full sales team, and we're often at industry events. Hopefully, they see our trucks in their market. But the easiest way to find us, we're very active on LinkedIn. And if you just search GPRS, look for the red box with GPRS. And then our website, if you search us, it's our website's GPRS Inc. and GPRSinc.com. Uh, but then you see our marks on site, and that's another way to find us. Is our marks. If you go look around, you'll see GPRS flags marking utilities in grass. You'll see GPRS paint on
You know I'm
sidewalks.
gonna do that because I'm over in
Yeah,
Indianapolis. You know I'm gonna like next job site I see.
we
I'm
have
like,
a tremendous team in Indianapolis. We got great teams everywhere, but
you're gonna get a
Indianapolis.
call. Like this weirdo was like showing up, like talking to us. He like something about a podcast, I don't know. And I'm like,
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
I've met these guys. It was great.
yeah. No, we've got a
That's
phenomenal
hilarious.
team in Indianapolis, and we've got a phenomenal team across the country. But yes, every major market. We always have this debate. What's the biggest city that we don't have anyone permanently based in? I
I
think
think
the answer
Dubai might be up there. Like,
we're not international.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
we're U.S. operations only. But I think the biggest city right now in the U.S. That we don't have anyone permanently based in is Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita. Yeah, I'm presenting at uh at a healthcare organization, healthcare
Okay.
conference there in a couple. I've never been there, but I hear it's a great city.
I haven't
So,
either. I know their basketball team had a nice run.
oh
We
yeah,
are
when
in
it's like
mid
an
March
island,
right now.
people say it's like an
Yeah,
island. They say it's great.
yeah. But
So,
they were fun to watch a few years ago. I think they
yeah.
went Sweet 16 or Elite Eight maybe in the
Hmm.
tournament a few years ago.
That's
But
phenomenal. So, what do you have coming up? What's on your horizon? Like, are
yeah,
you presenting, speaking at an event? Are you, we got to
yeah.
get the word out that there's underground radar and a software platform tied to it.
Our focus right now is it's really on those next stages of sitemap, and we
Yeah,
just added someone to our board. He was a VP of technology with Uber, and
great.
so he was responsible for the rollout of Uber and service delivery. And so one of his ideas, one of his I guess values is um, yeah, changes come yeah, small and fast rather than large and slow. That way, it's kept. And so instead of these long, elaborate new phases of development, let's shorten those sprints a little bit, and you release something small and quick that keeps it front of mind and fresh in the minds of our customers and users, as opposed to making them wait 6 or 8 months for a
I
new
think that's
release.
spot on. I think that's
Yeah.
spot on when you think of like, because I've got a whole host of different platforms and services. The ones that constantly have like, hey, version 17.4 came out and there's these two new features. Like, that's cool. That's exciting. I can get my head
Yeah.
wrapped around it, try it out, do it. As opposed to no update for a year and a half, and then there's 15 things launched. And you're like, I got to learn a new platform, basically. I got to pause on that until I have time to do that. I see that. That's a really good approach when you think of all the iterations of software.
One of the things that we're working on now, and I think it'll be available probably in the next year or so. The big idea uh, is integrating augmented reality into SiteMap. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
can go to the GPRS app, and open it up, and say, "Where are my utilities?" And if those utilities have been logged in SiteMap, you just open up and you'd be able to hover your
You'll be
phone
able to
over the
see it
ground.
right there. That's
Yep,
brilliant. That's a
and say,
natural iteration.
right,
It's a big thing to develop.
right.
That's not an easy task. So, but that's a natural integration. And so it makes sense too that they're already in sitemap. So you're pulling that data and then pushing it out onto the tablets or the devices so that they can see
That's
it in 3D.
that's it.
That's
That, that,
really
that, that,
cool.
that's what we're working on now. And again, it's that putting smart people together, letting them just brainstorm and think, what are our customers going to want? I think if you look at a lot of the companies that have been very successful, yeah, they don't wait, for their customers to ask. They try to anticipate. Wayne Gretzky, said it really well. He wasn't the most athletic person on the ice, but he had a knack for knowing where the puck was going to be, and
Right.
that's what we're
He
trying
would
to do.
skate to where the puck was going, not where it was.
That's
That's
exactly
exactly
right.
right.
So we want to, we want to have some authority on where the puck is going, and then we want to be there, when it's there. And so kind of changing the mindset of the customer, changing the expectation of the customer. We have a saying in our company, called "widen the gap," and have
What
built
does
a
that mean?
considerable.
Yeah, in your context, what does that mean?
Yeah, so we've built a considerable lead over our competition in terms of size. We're probably 5 or 6 times the size of our closest competitor. So why is that? Well, I think one of the reasons is that mentality is wanting to push this forward, not
Yeah, you're
respond
still
to
thinking
change.
like a startup. You're still like
Right.
being nimble and being like
We do.
figure out where it's going next.
We don't want to respond to change that someone else has
Yep.
initiated. We want to initiate the change. We want to
Yep.
change the customer expectation. We want to raise the bar for performance. So yeah, that's really what we mean by that.
That's phenomenal. Well, Matt Ashton, thank you so much for your time today. Gotta tell you, phenomenal. Like, what an idea for a 24-year-old to come up with and to then
Um,
make it the way you did. Like, just that was not, it was all effort. Like when people are like, oh, they come up with an idea, get funding, it's so easy. I'm like, no, this is exactly like you literally go and do it and prove it over and over and over again. And even your
well,
software is based on let us prove it to you, like let us
I'll
demonstrate to you.
I'll tell you this, and for a lot of the younger entrepreneurs or the people who've recently started businesses that may be listening, I questioned the long-term viability of GPRS on a daily basis, for the first 5 years of its existence. I
Yep.
was not sure if it would ever get off the ground. Um,
That's
and,
only
and
natural,
right, but it was that
right?
consistency. It was that consistency and that deliberate effort that just this cannot fail. There's only one path forward here, and that's to make this work. It ultimately led to, uh, you know, its growth. And then the other thing that's absolutely key. It's not just my ideas. I've been extremely
right. You're
blessed.
surrounding yourself with, and
Tremendous.
your leadership approach of not micromanaging, just kind of demonstrating what works, have them come with you, and then go replicate this elsewhere. That's actually very Steve Jobs. Like when I think about his model of like, look, I hire smart people and I let them do their thing. Like I'm not there to dictate what they're supposed to do. I want to hire brighter people than me. And it's pretty smart. And when you think about what Apple's developed, like the technology of the touch screens and all that, they didn't develop it. It wasn't Apple that created that. They went to Xerox PARC. They saw that. They're like, we want that technology in this context, right? And they just kind of segmented it. They found good ideas and they put them together. It's brilliant.
Yeah, phenomenal team of people. Yeah, been extremely blessed, and that's the key difference. I mean, surrounding yourself with people that elevate your thinking, that elevate your performance, that elevate your accountability. I mean, that's really some of the magic that's happened within our company over the past 2+ decades.
Well, great speaking with you. Thank you so much. We will have links to all of that in the show notes. And Matt, I wish you guys all the best. I will reach out after the podcast. I would love to keep talking to you because it's a really good story. So
I really appreciate the opportunity and really enjoyed talking with you. Yeah, today. I can't believe that an hour's gone by already.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, I've got it on 11 o'clock. I got to go. I can't believe it. I'm like, usually they're like 30 minutes. And I was like, I thought I'd have a buffer. But man, this is just fantastic. It's a really good story. So
thank you.
I'll talk to you. You probably need to write a book. I'm just letting you know that. So I'm just throwing that out there. I've got people that can help you write that thing. So it's book worthy. So just want to let you know that. So, all right, my friend, we will talk again soon. Thank you very much, Matt Aston, GPRS and Sitemap. Check them out. It's a great story.